Welcome back to the Bernie Kosar Show with the top dog, Hanford Dixon. I'm Gabriella Cruz. Thanks for joining us as we continue to pick the brain of Hall of Famer and Cleveland Browns legend Ozzie Newsome, who also currently serves as the executive vice president of the Baltimore Ravens.
Ozzie, what did you, obviously you're responsible, you drafted Lamar. What did you see in him, obviously, before you drafted him? I know the vision was great. And then also, to follow up with that, take us into the draft room. Tell us how those decisions are made.
Well, number one, we only time we bought Lamar in. We did not interview Lamar at the combine because we didn't want people to have any idea that he was on our radar. So we ended up bringing him into Baltimore, spending a whole day with him. And, what you could do, you could see, you saw a talent, and what you would hope is like at any other position, can you take that talent and mold it and get it into a situation where that player is playing as well as he could play, but it took the coaching to do it, and to find that way. And what was your second part of your question?
In the draft room, how are those decisions made?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When we go in, right now we're picking 23. Okay. So we will have 23 players. At the end of the day, we'll take one of these 23 players. And if, like it happened with Jonathan Ogden way back in 96, Jonathan was the highest rated player on our board, and we were picking fourth. So even though we had Tony Jones, who Bernie, Hanford, was a great left tackle, Jonathan was the highest rated guy on the board. So you know what? If you're going to work all spring long, get your board set, then don't violate it on game day. Stay with it. And that's why we took Jonathan. And that's been the process that we've done. We know one thing. It's going to be 23 players drafted. It's going to be 22 taken before us. And so we got to be prepared for that 23rd player. And that's what we're working on right now.
Ozzie, I know we had some quarterback talk there when you were chatting about your insight on Lamar. Speaking of quarterbacks, the Browns made waves last year with their guaranteed contract of DeSean Watson. What was your immediate reaction when that news broke?
Well, you know what? I'm always about this. Every club has to do what they have to do with contracts, with drafting. I got enough problems dealing with this club that, I can't, I don't worry about what other people do. But, our owner, did say that, that contract did create some problems. What we have to figure out, is that going to be the norm or is that an outlier? And we don't know. We know the two other contracts that got done since then, they were not fully guaranteed.
Well, I know this. You guys, I know how you guys feel about Lamar, the front office, the coaching staff, and hell, I like Lamar. I sit up there watching play, man. Bernie, better than anyone, just a dynamic player.
Well, we all love Lamar. I feel for you, Wiz, because you're almost in a catch-22, because just as you unfortunately astutely point out, is the DeSean thing an anomaly, or is it part of the future? And unfortunately, you're in the spot that's going to probably help determine that. Does it stay fully guaranteed? Does it go towards fully guaranteed, or a percentage of it? And as usual, you've been for the last 4 decades stuck right in the heart of a lot of this good action, Wiz.
Well, yeah, it is. You know what? That makes it a lot easier for me to get up and come to work every day,
Well,
but there's some issues to have to deal with.
Well,
and you know what? It makes my walks very good. And when I'm going to get through talking with you guys, I'm going to go get me a good walk in because I need to clear my head a little bit.
Yeah, you need to clear it because check this out, Bernie. Exclusive now is $45 million. Non-exclusive still $32 million. Both of them come with a hefty price tag. And who in the hell is going to pay Daniel Jones? I mean, the talk is he's looking at about $40 million. Bernie, you retired too fast.
I think we all played a couple decades early. Hey, though, Wiz, and I'm looking up here, and this is, either the magic of television. I thank you, Gab, for doing the technology to at least bluff like us three look really good up here.
Yeah.
But, I'm looking at, and you said that Wiz is religious in terms of his walking, running, exercising. Hanford, yourself, myself, I obsessively talk about health and wellness. We have a lot of our ex-brothers who aren't as doing as well health and wellness-wise. And Wiz, one of the things me and Hanford are talking about doing, you and me, we've joked a little bit about this. You're massively active in the charity world here in Northeast Ohio, in Baltimore, with us ex-players and stuff. We're starting to do some things like from the podcast here and from like our super Twitter followers where people are following along, subscribing with us. We're going to be donating a part of, a good part of what we're doing back to helping some of us players, some of the ex-players, and some of the communities that aren't really blessed and aren't capable of maybe doing and taking care of some of the health and wellness type things that we've been blessed to be able to help transform our lives, and at least myself in particular. So really want to thank you for kind of being part of this today for us. And this is kind of one of our initial launches and talking about it. And I love and respect the hell out of you just from being a teammate and a guy that was friggin' mortified as a 21-year-old, 1985, to have to come into the huddle. And I did not want to be the reason why we sucked and couldn't play. And to be able to have that honor to be in there with you, you just taught and groomed me so well. I was so friggin' honored and humbled to be a teammate and to call myself a friend of yours and to start my career in that huddle with you. I didn't want to let you down, and I was that aspiration to what you meant to me. I just can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you, Bernie. And as you were saying. You know what? I serve on the Player Care Foundation, and that foundation was started by Paul, the former commissioner, to help former players that are struggling a little bit. And, and right now we through the collective bargaining agreement with us and the union, we have some allocated funds. So, any of our teammates that are struggling, they need to reach out to the Player Care Foundation because we have funds to be able to provide a bridge to be able to help the guys because, we are the game, and so the game should take care of our own. And that's what we're trying to do with the Player Care Foundation.
Awesome. Ozzie, quick question. Lamar, I know it's tough, dog. I know you're working on it. Hopefully, are we going to get it done?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that we have a deadline tomorrow at 4:00 to put the tag on. And I know today and up until about 3:30 tomorrow, a lot of energy is going to be utilized in trying to get the deal done. And if not, we will put the franchise tag on him.
Well, Doc, I see you got some fresh gear on. It's been a long time since I've been in that room, to get me some fresh Ravens gear. So, so just you know where I'm headed with that. I'll leave that one alone.
I understand. You right there with Ricky Feature.
Hey, so Wiz, I'm even more appreciative and honored that you're taking this time out with us today. You just used the phrase. A lot of energy in Baltimore is going to be spent between now and 3:30 tomorrow. And if nothing happens with all that energy, you're going to be putting the franchise tag on them and that. So I don't want to make this go any longer with any more long-winded stories. But I wanted to mention to you, like some of those, the way we had, the three of us had our Browns-Steelers rivalries, and the way that in 1985 you talk about how selfless I was, how selfless you were, in terms of coming in from into that running type offense and the way you had to block and stuff. And for the viewers and listeners out there, you had this awesome streak going. And I was so proud to be one of the quarterbacks to keep your streak going. But we were such a running team back then with limited throwing. And then when you have a rookie quarterback, you throw even less. So I felt such an awesome responsibility to want to throw you the ball. And I love throwing to the tight ends and stuff. But we started coming up with some really creative type plays back then because the Bear defense, the 46 defense was coming around. So to be able to come up with plays and work in conjunction with you, with your streak, and with winning some cool playoff games like we did, I want to take credit for you developing that ability to crush the Steelers like you carried on with you as you've gone to Baltimore now.
Well, yeah, I mean, going into Three Rivers and now whatever that stadium is, it's not easy.
It's still Three Rivers to us.
You got to strap. One thing, you got to put your chin strap on, when you go in there. And we recognize that here. A lot of respect for the Rooneys and Mike Tomlin and Stoneface when he was there. So, a lot of respect for those guys. But you know what? Hey, we look forward to playing them every year, just like we look forward to playing Cleveland.
Cower still gets mad when we call him Face. He doesn't like to hear that.
Exactly. When he comes here to do his interviews, I still call him Stoneface, and everybody be looking, who are you talking about?
What you talking about?
And he responds to it too.
Yeah, he frowned at me.
Hey Gab, I know when my time is up. You got anything else for? Because I know when it's time to let him go.
I know. Bernie's starting to go. No, I just wanted to ask. I bet some of our listeners are really interested, Ozzie, because you've had such a successful career both on and off the field. Let's go back to sort of the opportunity that Art Modell gave you and how you've really climbed in your career. What was your reaction when you heard the news that the team was moving, and what was that like for you?
Well, I got called into a meeting after practice, myself, Bill Belichick, and Mike Lombardi. And along with Ernie Accorsi. I think Ernie had already left at that point. So it was Mike, Bill, and I. We got called into Art's office with Jim Bailey, who you guys know. And it was like a Thursday afternoon. And Art told us that, he was moving the franchise. And this was the middle of the season, probably in November. And, and I looked at him. And he said, of course, my family. I have to do this for my family. So we left. But then Marilyn McGrath, who both of you guys know, came back and got me and said, Art wants to meet with you individually. And so I went back. And he, at that point, he said, I'm moving the team. And I want you to come with me. And I'll never forget, we were there in Berea where we practiced, and I was living off of Brainerd in Orange. And it's probably a 30, 35-minute drive. But that drive seemed like it was an hour and a half that day of driving home from that facility, knowing that I only been with one franchise and that we were moving. And all the emotions that could go through a person, it happened to me on that drive home. So I'll never forget that day when he asked me, I'm moving the organization and I want you to come with me. It was a very moving moment and a very unbelievable drive that I had home that day.
Wow. How have Browns fans treated you with all your success, by the way, in Baltimore?
Well, the majority, have treated me really well. I can't tell of one instance when I was back. We had moved here. Then my family was still living in Orange, and I went and I stopped at a gas station to get some gas. And a young man came up to me, and he said, "You're Ozzie Newsome." And I go, "Yeah." He said, "I really, really used to respect you." And I go, "You?" He said, "Yeah." He said, I had the utmost respect for you. He said, but now that, you've decided to move to Baltimore, I don't respect you anymore. And you know what? I told that young man, I said, you have a right to your opinion. I have a right to live my life.
I think a lot of people are very proud of what you've done. I think, another question we got to ask him while we have him. How about some embarrassing stories, Ozzie? Anything with Hanford and
Oh,
Bernie you
hell
can
no.
share with us?
Hell no.
Hey,
No,
hey.
you missed it. I told him I was looking for crystals in Virginia. I was in Virginia Beach this week. I was looking for crystals in Virginia Beach.
I
dog.
understand. You
I
know
told
what?
y'all.
We were going over. Hey, we were.
You would understand that, but nobody else would understand that.
So we
I
were.
understand it quite well, you know.
Hey, so we were going over the old Bruce Smith golf days on Virginia Beach there.
Yeah.
But for one of the old stories, Wiz, that me and Top Dog were talking about before you jumped on the air was one of the things. One of our threesomes, kind of big games we had was the Jets double overtime playoff game, 1986, and we win this really emotional game. And we're going to have the first AFC championship game in Cleveland, Ohio, and end of January. And you guys, and I was, for the listeners out there, I am a baby about wanting to practice where I play. So if we're going to play in 0-degree weather, God is my witness, I have to practice in that. So when God bless Marty, I know I don't want to. I'm making light at you here, but when he took us down to Vero Beach, Hanford, who hated that I always wanted to go out in the cold weather, Wiz, you weren't as vocal as Hanford at his disdain for me, but you guys were okay with going down to Florida. You kind of like sometimes staying inside, okay? And I was just a baby because we weren't going to come back to that AFC Championship game until Saturday, and we were going to stay down in Florida. It was 80. It was 80 degrees and beautiful in South Florida. It was -5 and windy in Cleveland with mud spray painted green. There was no similarity to that. So to be able to practice where you're going to play. We didn't do that. That was probably the only time that I think the three of us were on completely opposite ends of that decision making.
Hey, dog.
But we came back early.
Yeah.
You won the argument because we came back early.
Yeah, and if you remember, there was a massive rainstorm then, and the plane got delayed, and we're sitting on the runway, the tarmac, for like an hour or two, debating to go back, and I knew fate was on our side, that we weren't going to die in a plane crash. Okay, so you two didn't want to go up in a plane. I'm like, go for it. They go, there's a hole in the clouds. I think we can make it. I go, I could throw it through that hole.
Hey, dog, we gonna let you go, man. We thank you for coming on with us. We should thank Jess because we know she reminded you, so your assistant. So, but we really appreciate you coming on with us, man.
Thanks, Wiz. We love you, brother.
Well, thank you, man. Hey, you know what? We could have did this for 5 hours, but thank you. I always enjoy, talking with you guys, and I even enjoy it a lot more when we come back to Cleveland and we get a chance to